expect the world to come to a complete stop. You know, here now we've had COVID-19, and in Arizona, it looks like we are kind of peaking again. We've had riots. It's crazy. It's just totally crazy out there. So how do we market our businesses in this time of need and challenge? So one of the things that we've seen people do is that, you know, we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so what do? We conserve, we stop spending. And a lot of companies stop spending in the area of advertising, you know, and so that's what this whole presentation is how do we market and survive in this time? And one of the things that the Veterans Chamber here, we're a community, and we believe in helping one another out. You know, for example, Andy and I do pretty much exactly the same thing, except a couple of different variations. But we're here helping each other. You know, we share ideas, and there is enough business out there for all of us. So we're not by ourselves. We're in here to survive and to thrive, and we can do that even in the time of chaos and in challenge. I think most of us are old enough to remember going back to 9/11 and the crash of the housing market and so on. You know, a lot of businesses died, but that doesn't have to be the case. We still can market, we can still survive, and we can still come out of this in a great way. And like I mentioned, we are definitely, you know, what's next? We don't know. And the thing is, we'll never know what tomorrow will bring. And if we knew that, man, you know, well, we're not God. I'm just going to put it like that. We have some opportunities. And so with that, I'm going to let Jeannie jump in there. And Jeannie and I are going to banter a little bit about this. She wanted this handsome stud here to help her promote her presentation. And you'll see mine here in a minute. So.
We had a little fun with this. So in any event, I just want to speak to what Carl just mentioned. You noticed that one of the points on that first slide was keeping consumers engaged. And I think part of that is being sure that when we're doing business together right now, that we show empathy. And I think that in our marketing efforts, we need to be sure that we have an empathetic tone in how we present ourselves. I think that when we're working together, and this works inside or outside of what we've been experiencing as far as marketing goes, but I think it's so important that we find commonalities. And I think more so than ever, to find that common ground and to understand that as business people, we have more in common than not. And also, as part of keeping consumers engaged, I think along those similar lines, I think volunteering is not a bad idea. We want to be sure that people think of us in the vein, in that type of vein, when things do come back to whatever sense of normalcy we end up with. So, to keep on track, Carl is spot on. We need to increase our marketing spending, not decreasing, because as Carl would say, we don't want to be found flat-footed when people are back in full force, needing our services, needing our products. And there have been quite a few studies that do show that during times of economic uncertainty, that increasing your spending is really critical to your company surviving. And I'm going to digress just a little bit as well, and I think it's super relevant to this conversation. As we're increasing our advertising, there's just a few basic things that I think we need to always remember in marketing. Why you? Why your product or service? What makes you special? Be sure that you include all of your experience when you're communicating with your potential clients. Support a cause. Talk about or at least highlight what causes that you support, especially now while we're trying to get in front of as many people as we can, and everything's so digital. And don't forget print. So print is definitely something that the graphics in our state still refer to. I have over 20 years of experience in print advertising in California. I worked for 5 newspapers. I was the advertising director, and I sadly, slowly but surely saw the value of print advertising really decline over time dramatically. And moving to Arizona a little over 5 years ago was such a bright spot because, you know, print advertising is still somewhat relevant. Our seniors definitely refer to the traditional types of forms of advertising. So as much as we're all digital, I think that let's not forget that the independent is a very strong presence in this market. So be out in front of whoever your market, whoever you're targeting. So go ahead to the next slide, Carl. So Carl did a little research for us, and for the most part, believe it or not, research shows that almost half of the consumers find it reassuring to hear from brands during times of crisis that we're in. I think it's because it's familiar, but I think it's important how we approach these brands. And you'll notice, I mean, we're all watching television probably a little more than we should be. And you'll notice that those brands are out there strong, but they're coming from a different place. They're coming from a helpful, resourceful, empathetic, kind place. And so the next piece of research that Carl found was that 56% like learning how brands are helping their communities during this pandemic. So I'll give you one example. A lot of the auto insurance companies have been promoting themselves as, hey, we're going to rebate everybody because, you know, we know you're not out driving as much. Well, gosh, those, you know, I have AAA for 1 million years, and they're going to credit me for my next renewal. So the reason I bring this up is, if at all in your business, in your line of work, that you can come from that place, be assured that consumers are watching. And when they're ready to need your service, if they don't already, you want them to think of you. And the last little statistic just, you know, makes the math work. There's only a small percentage, 15%, that really rather not hear from any companies. So it's a small amount of people who aren't wanting to hear your message. Okay, Carl, you have anything else to add to that?
No, I'm good. Good job. So Jeannie had to have a hunk, so I had to have an attractive young lady. So, you know, having fun, right? Okay, so,
yep.
You know, marketing is not just about promoting you. It's also knowing your customers, knowing what their wants, interests, and needs are, and you have to understand them. So recent studies, I mean, information we had 6 months ago is outdated. So, you know, let's talk about COVID-19. 76% of our customers or people out there are picking up new habits, new behaviors, new routines. I believe that. I don't know about you, but the way I do things have changed a lot. Then the other one is 89% of the people plan on keeping those habits. So how does this affect our businesses? Then also the other one, 36% of the people that have tried new brands during COVID-19 are going to keep them. So again, pointing a finger here, and I think we all need to do that, is what are we doing to keep our customers, or on those people who aren't advertising to pick up those customers as well. So again, as I mentioned information, we got to stay on top of it. 6 months ago, who thought that we would be in a lockdown situation? Things going to change. We need to move forward. And as Jeannie said, we need to do it with empathy. And, you know, it's, again, we got to understand our customers, the psychographics, oh man, I wished I would have paid so much more attention in college to psychology. I hated psychology. Sorry, Dory, but I wish I would have paid attention because it is so critical in what we do. And so, you know, what seniors like, what millennials like, what the Xers like, we need to understand that because we need to know what they want. Because if we create something and they don't want it, we're wasting our time. So with that, I'm going to pop back over to your stud there, Jeannie.
Yeah. So just to speak to your last message, I just want to use Ann from Quail Run. So they had to be nimble and still reach people who probably needed those services more than ever, as Dory can probably attest to as well. And I love the fact that Quail Run is offering, you know, iPads on, that they're sharing those with folks that don't have a computer and who may not be able to get out, or it's not safe to get out, and have those conversations with those professionals that can help them get through being so isolated and ever more isolated. We're so lucky here, those of us who work in communities, and Renee knows this. Our team that we work with in our community has become our family, and these residents have become our family because we have not been able to really interact safely with others. And so there's so many more people that are at home who are lonely, of all age groups. And I appreciate that Quail Run has been nimble and has pivoted to offer services. So, you know, just think outside your normal way of doing business. Think of ways that you can get your product and services to people in a different way, and just be nimble about it. And Carl and I are available to help brainstorm either during this session or outside of the session to help any of you think of ways that you can thrive, as we've been talking about. So, and this leads us really to our final question before we engage all of you in this narrative. What can I do to help? So, you know, Andy may say, well, gosh, you know, I'm just a one-man show and I make these amazing pens and these products. And so how can I show that I'm helping, or what can I do to help? You've just got to think of being in a place of giving at this point, because when things recover or as things evolve, you want to be the person they think of, because we like to do business with people we like, that we trust, and that have been there for us in a pinch. And so I think that to be successful right now, you've got to figure out a way to pitch in, whether it's delivering specialty items, you know, to a shelter, you know, whatever it is, that of the food bank, donating some food, you know, just interacting as safely as you can, but having your name out there and figuring out, how can I volunteer and how can I give right now? Because that's really what people need. A lot of our, from Lori and I here at Inspira, we are approaching a lot of folks in our database that we have to keep up with. And during this time where we aren't touring, and now we are moving people in, but we haven't been, our approach is, hey, we're here at one point or another, you were thinking about our community. Do you need, you know, toilet paper? We were offering anything. You know, we just want to say, hey, we want to make sure you're okay. How you doing? Is there anything I can do for you? So that's how you need to position yourself during this time. So there was a couple of other things that we did that I think are probably still a necessary thing. So early on, We provided lunch to the entire emergency room staff at Abrazo Hospital. We, and the marketing director, who, you know, probably can open some doors for us, was so gracious to communicate with me. I made friends with the people who own the 2 Jimmy Johns in our area, and they got on board. So we made snack bags. Now, of course, I work for a bigger, smaller businesses, but we bought a whole bunch of snacks, put a little sticker saying we support you, and dropped them off in bulk to rehabs right outside, and took pictures. And boy, did that staff sure appreciate a little snack, and that someone was thinking about all the frontline work that they were doing. So I tell you these tips to help you stir some things in your own mind as to how can you help bring a smile. I mean, even if you're not doing something huge, maybe you can lend a smile, and someone's going to remember you and do business with you because of that. Carl, you have anything else to
Yeah,
add?
and take a look at the advertising that's on TV now, and the successful people are doing, they're not saying, hey, look at me. They're saying, look at what's going on out there. Fry's, you know, their commercial is our employees are retail heroes. What are you passionate about? What is your organization passionate about? Yes, we're all in a business, you know, and it's not all about dollars and cents. What are we doing to make a difference in the community? That's what's being successful right now. And oh, by the way, it's brought to you by XYZ. But the emphasis that's really working is, what are you doing to give back? How are you making me feel? You know, and that's, we're in a touchy-feely situation right now, and especially in the millennials, it's been proven they want to be involved and active, and will support organizations that are doing just that. You know, I think of Dr. Goodfield, you know, and his area that he's passionate about, and his business focuses on the mental health and helping people. And you know, when you promote what you're doing to help others, people will stand up for that. Or stand up and support you for that. And you know, if your website doesn't have a page or two about what you're doing to give back to the community, I want to challenge you to rethink that and add that. Because, for example, I know of a person who was looking for a realtor, went through their page and saw they love dogs, and this is what they're doing to help the pet community. They didn't know anything other than that realtor liked dogs. And guess what? That person went to the realtor. So think about that. What is the touchy-feely? What are you doing to make a difference in the community? So, you know, with the COVID-19, with all the writing going on, and, you know, and all the messages we're hearing on TV about the political, quite frankly, it's scary, you know, and uncertainty, and it's just unreal, it seems like. But are we going to let this crisis or the crisis paralyze us? You know, if so, let's just fold up shop and go home, and why waste money and put the money we have in the bank now? Or are we going to step up to the plate? That's one thing about the military, you know, when things get tough, you get moving. So your company depends on it. Either you can take and fold up and go, woe is me, or you can cripple or kill your company. You know, this is the time to advertise. It doesn't have to be expensive. There's ways to do it. Email marketing for me works. And when I do an email marketing, it's you know, I send out information, and if you want to get on my email list, I'll do that. It's not a sales tool. It is a sales tool, but I'm not promoting sales. I'm giving you marketing tips to help grow your business. Oh, by the way, a little side column, I have, you know, XYZ, but my main emphasis is helping others. And I'll be honest with you, it's rare that I don't get some kind of business. Give you an idea, a year or so ago, I did a fun facts about the 4th of July. That's all I talked about, fun facts about 4th of July. I got a $60,000 project out of that. It works. I'm just saying it works.